Not as much as anyway. Well, we went into shark infested waters. Really, the whole country was absolutely slammed with COVID.
Yeah.
We went. It wasn't like we're wearing gloves and once they say you don't have to wear a mask, we're like, well, we're not wearing a mask anymore. So you're touching all the railings and the underground. And to cut a long story short, one of our good friends plays professional football for a big club called Sunderland. He was actually captain at the time, big club in England. And we went up to see him, and basically you couldn't get a COVID test for love nor money because it was just so hard to come by. Because it was a ridiculous amount of the country, like hundreds of thousands had COVID. It was getting towards millions. It was nuts. Anyway, because of him, he could get us these tests because he'd get them through the club. And we went out for dinner one night. The next night, we're supposed to go to his house. He was going to cook us dinner. It was going to be great. And that night, we're sleeping in the same bed, by the way, because we're, budget traveling, going around the UK. I woke up at about 1 a.m. with the sweats and then the freezing cold and then the sweats, and basically sat in the bathtub for about 4 hours, just steaming hot, just trying to get this thing out of me. And I woke up the next day and I sort of felt okay, but our friend Bailey couldn't take the risk because he had games to play and he can't infect the whole club. So he said, boys, I'm going to get some testing. So he drove into town, literally flung the COVID test out the window. We caught him. He said, get tested. If you're all good, we can do dinner. If not, we can't. And then we both did a test, and very shortly after discovered we're both infected with COVID. But it's a bit naughty, but they basically said you don't have to report it over there. So you just got to try and be sensible. Don't go near anybody, but you don't have to isolate. You don't have to do anything. So we kind of went about it.
We kept on. Yeah.
How many people did you infect as you were traveling?
I think everyone was already infected, so it didn't really matter, did it?
No.
So, at least you could get out over there. Here you were just stuck.
But it was COVID with other disease. Like we got gastro.
I got a gastro.
He was. You had already travel sickness as well.
Yeah.
He was so sick.
I was not well. For a long period of the trip. Yeah.
But the point of that trip is when we came back. For us, we'd been doing the podcast about 1.5 years by then, and when we came back, suddenly everyone took us serious. So we were able to say we'd been to London for the podcast. This is who we interviewed over there, and then probably the next 6 months after that is where we saw our big spike in growth, because we could get huge, big name guests, like really well known guests on the show. It proved how serious we were. Now we're 70, 80 episodes in, not 20 or 10 or whatever. It's hard to get guests at the start, so we've put it out consistently since then. We've been overseas for it. Here's the content we're creating, and here's the names we've now interviewed. So
yeah, and it does make a difference. And 70, 80 podcasts, there's quite a lot of podcasts if you're doing, and you're putting them out once a week.
Yeah,
that's huge. Huge. So, and you'd have a backlog of people that you've interviewed that you will put out over a period of months and things, and you won't go losing them, will you?
No,
of course not. That's a dig. Thank you, babe. Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't help
We
it.
lost to our stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Subscribe to a cloud.
Yeah. Our audio's all good. You can listen to all of the podcasts we've done in the past, just the full-length interviews that we were going to get on YouTube. That's unfortunately about 100 of them are gone. So bad luck.
Just cry.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, he did. Literally, I'm not kidding. He was praying. There's only been probably 2 or 3 occasions since we've had this show where we've literally prayed. Like, I'm not saying in a metaphorical. I'm saying literally. Close your eyes.
We prayed together.
Please, God.
Literally praying.
But we both brought up Christian men, so we were like, the podcast when we lost a bit of. What were we?
Tell about Ryan.
So that was in London. So that was our second interview, and he was a big get for us.
So big West End star. His name's Ryan Hutton. He's an actor, singer, and he was the lead role in one of the biggest shows, which is called Only Fools and Horses in London's West End. And it's been going about 2 years, and he's the lead. And I went and saw this. Poor Dos was sick, so I said, I'll go enjoy my night by myself. So I went to West End, watched the show, and afterwards I messaged him and I said, mate, from our page, I said, this is where we are, this is how far we've come. And he came back straight away to us. But the problem with this interview, because he's on Broadway literally 8 shows a week, so it's 6 days, and then I think Saturday they do it twice or whatever on the weekends. He said, I can only do this day and this time. So we book out a studio in London, we book out, hire out all the equipment, spend all this money. We've got him for like an hour and a half, and that's it. you take over.
Well, we get there and he arrives, most lovely bloke. We chatted for an hour.
Best podcast we've done up until that point.
Yeah, best one we've done. And we just got along like a house on fire. And he walked out and D walked him out the door. And as D walked him out, I was staying on the computer and I was trying to finalise it all. And I couldn't find it and it was gone.
And what happens usually after an interview like that? Between you and I, we
so we typically they'll walk out the door and we'll just be so pumped and we'll hug each other and high five and we'll be like, how good was that? And
Jumping up and down like little kids.
exactly, just so happy with it.
I couldn't get him out the door quick enough because I just wanted to get back to golf. So started celebrating.
And D came back and he saw a worried look on my face and he's like, what's wrong? And I was like, it's gone. I can't. It's literally been recorded like the first 20 seconds of it and the rest of it's gone. But the whole interview, we're watching it like it's going the whole time. And as soon as I pressed stop, it just all of a sudden vanished. And then we literally bowed our heads in big afraid. And then we went to the cafe and we were just buying programs to try and find it. And we got it. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. And luckily since then we had a bro came on board with us and sent us some equipment that has not failed us yet. So
No.
it was hopefully the last of that occasion, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I would have been crying.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
we were close. We were close.
Yeah. And what came out of that interview? What was it about this fellow?
That's a great question. It's because I think we're all the same age, so we're all 27 at the time, and he had a very similar path to us in terms of he was actually a really good soccer player. He looked like he was going to become professional, and he went, he got to a very high level, and then one of England's greatest players, Raheem Sterling, who a lot of listeners will know, he played one-on-one with him one day. He got touted. This guy kicked 5 or 6 goals on him, and he realised on that day, at that moment, okay, I'm not going to be a professional soccer player because there's just not enough. If that's the level, I'm nowhere near that, which is a hard pill to swallow. And he found acting. It's one of those like high school musical kind of stories where he didn't want to become an actor. He didn't want to do it in front of the boys and the girls that he was trying to see and all that kind of stuff. And fell in love with acting, and he just created this whole life for himself. He started his own theatre company. Just to give himself a shot. He was working 2 or 3 really bad jobs to just pay the bills to then fund his acting academy to try and get him onto the West End. And then somehow through a long time trying and a lot of rejections, he eventually got the lead role in the pretty much the biggest show on West End. Mm-hmm. And he was just such a good bloke, wasn't he? It was more just I can't explain it. It's the conversation you have,
the energy,
But it's all about his experience and the determination and the courage and the never giving up.
That's right.
That he had, that gives you that inspiration to want to know more about somebody, because people give up too easily. They try something and it gets a little bit hard, and they think, oh, this isn't for me. But you've got to put a bit of guts and grit into whatever you do. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're determined or it's something that you've always wanted to do as a child or as a young adult, never give up on it. Never.
Well, I think probably the Gen Z, so the generation after us, we are to an extent. We are entitled in a way. So
don't even get me started.
But so many just think that things are just going to happen with the click of a finger, and I'm just going to get a job in that industry just because I've got the degree, or like it's just.
Or you put a video up and you explode.
Yeah, that's a great example. Like people just think, for our situation, right? What we have, people don't understand how much work goes into what we do, and that's fine, and we're okay with that. But it's funny, you see so many other people get into see it and they go, oh, I could do that easy. I could be the next Dawson D or whoever. And they'll try it. And basically they realise all of a sudden it actually takes more than just clicking record, talking for an hour. It's long hours. It takes a long time, and the skills to do it as well. Like it's more difficult than what people think.
Well, it's behind the scenes stuff that nobody ever sees. You make it look easy from the front, but nobody sees what goes on behind the scenes. And that's what people say, oh, you're an overnight success, but they don't actually see the processes and the heartache and the hard work and the slog that you've done to get to where you are today.
Right. That old saying, what do they say? It took me 15 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we actually use the analogy, we're 3 years into our 15-year apprenticeship. That's
15 years.
That's our analogy.
Oh,
So, and that sometimes gives us a little bit of comfort because we're like, okay, we're still at the start, still at the starting line. Like we're not anywhere near where we want to be.
and you know what? As you progress through and you get better at what you do, you'll set the bar higher.
That's right.
It'll get higher and higher as you go through. You might be amazing, but you want to do better, and you want to do better.
Like
Yeah.
you understand how hard it is to continually source guests. Like you might walk away from an interview and you think that's fantastic, and you get 2 seconds to celebrate, and you're like, oh, I need one for next week or the week after, that. I know you're ahead, but that's the reality of it too. Like it's very difficult to. We struggle to smell the roses, I think.
Yeah.
And I think also, you can get a guest that's really easy to have that conversation with, and you can get a guest that it's like drawing blood out of a stone.
Mm.
And I've had a few of those.
Yeah.
And you've really got to work hard to get the conversation or continue that conversation. But when you've got someone who will just talk and talk and talk, and you've got to listen to them because, they say something and you let them go for a little while and you think, there's something missing here. I want to know more about this, or I want to know more about that. So you ask them a question, and then it goes into something else even bigger and better than what you expected. And it's all about listening for what they're not actually saying, but they want to say, but they're too afraid to say, or they don't know they want to say it. And that's the whole thing of really listening to that conversation and thinking, I want to know more about that, or I want to know more about this. And you can have some aha moments with them because they may not realize how amazing they are. I mean, you can be a Broadway star and still not think you're good enough.
Yeah, well, that's a common theme in almost everybody we interview. Doesn't matter how much we look up to them or how great or how much we envy them. It's the same deal.
Yep. And they still don't think they're good enough, but you see in them, and there might be a question you ask that they realise, well, I do deserve to be here. I do deserve the hard slog that I've done to get to where I am today. And that is what it's all about. And there's no such thing as an overnight success. And I've watched people come from nothing to be really successful. And I get really excited about people being successful because I think you watch them, they work hard. There's all this stuff behind the scenes that nobody sees. And then one day, they're making their 6 figures or their 7 figures or whatever they're doing. I love it. I love to see that. I think it's really pushing the boundaries for yourself and your expectations as you become more successful. That bar gets higher and you think, I've done that now I can do this. And that's what you boys will continue to do.
It's really nice hearing you say that because one of the biggest issues in Australia, and I'm guilty of it, we both are, and it happens from time to time in our industry, especially from a social media point of view, is tall poppy syndrome. So seeing someone else doing well, that it might be in your field or that might be doing something you want or you've been working so hard to get, and they get it and not you. But instead of being happy and, it could be someone that you're really close with, but you don't want to be happy for them because you want it and you're jealous. And in Australia, we tend to bring them down and bag them out and joke around instead of actually tapping them on the back and saying, well done.
Yeah. And the tall poppy syndrome is only ever in Australia. It's not anywhere else in the world. And I think it's really sad that people want to pull you down when you're successful. It's all about there is enough for everybody. And at the top here, there's only 1%, 2%, 3%. There's so much room up there for success. It's down here where it's overcrowded. Why not push the bar and get up here?
True. We actually, I won't mention his name, but someone who was a friend of ours and followed us and was supportive of our show at the very beginning, we found out the other day that he's unfollowed us. And I don't care. In fact, that's fine. But to me, that said a lot to both of us. Like, we're doing something great. We're doing something well, because when people are looking at it and kind of going, we don't want people to be jealous of us, but when you do see that and hear that, you go, we're doing something that's making people go like, geez, they're doing really, really well.
But that was a person who wanted to do something similar and never actually, and talked about it 3 years ago when we were starting. They want to do the same thing and didn't action it. As much as we actually pushed them and said, look, these are the steps you got to take. There was always excuses. Some of them valid.
He was going to move in with us.
He was actually going to move in with us, yeah.
And be a part of it.
But
So it's disappointing, but at the same time, you kind of go, well, he sees us doing what we're doing, and he knows he's missed out.
And hate is a big part of our industry, especially with our social media.
I hate that word. Hate that word. I really dislike that word, hate, but it's true. Why do people hate you when you are climbing that ladder of success? And I'm going to say something about that person that you've just talked about. There is something there that he feels incomplete. It's not that he's just stopped following you. He feels inferior and insecure. And that's really sad.
It is 100%.
Really sad that that's happened.
Yeah. You're so right. Like, he was very supportive when we were like had no following and no one listening and our
He was the first person to message or something.
Something like that. And then but I mean I don't like that word hate either. But for people in the industry, everybody kind of understands. But for us, we were talking about this on one of our pods the other day. It's a great measuring tool. As much as people don't like to hear this, once you start getting that success, like the success, and you're getting the followers, for us, we get, for the videos we put up on, say, TikTok, the amount of hate we get from people from all across the world, we have no idea who they are. And sometimes they call us by our names and we high five because we're making a splash. Like, they know who we are. They don't like it necessarily, which is fine. We're not trying to do that to anybody. But for us, it's all right. When everyone's saying, yes, it's great, that's very surface level. But for us, a great measuring tool of actually when now we're starting to make some ripples is when you start to get the negative feedback.
And that really makes you want to step up even further.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, say bye on Facebook. We'll be
See you
back
later.
later.